Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions, so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general, and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Now, welcome to today's sitting. Let us go through the fruits and procedures of Thursday, 10 October 2019. Please, please. Honorable Bill, please follow. ojú ìwé kẹrìndínlọ́gọ́ta. Ojú ìwé kẹtàdínlọ́gọ́ta. ẹ ṣe olùdarí. Ní abala kẹrin àti kẹrin tí wọ́n ti sọ pé wọ́n ti sọ pé the general manager Lagos State Electricity Board former la sọ níjọ́ yẹn sà, kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe Mr. Tijani, Mrs. ó dà pé Bilọlá Kásùmù nìyí bẹ́ẹ̀. ẹ ṣe olùdarí. ẹ ṣe aṣòfin Buhari.
ẹ ṣe olùdarí. Àkíyèsí mi wà ní ojú ewé yẹn ní abala kẹrin ìsọ̀rí kìíní 4.1 nígbà tí olùdarí sọ wípé kí ká máa kọ̀bi ara sí ìwé ìfẹ̀hónúhàn yẹn, ṣùgbọ́n kó tó di pé olùdarí sọ nǹkan tí olùdarí sọ yẹn, àwọn ọmọ ilé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin fi ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, àwọn tó dá sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn tó 3 àbí 4 kó tó di pé olùdarí wá fi òté lé. So a fo ibi tí àwọn èèyàn ti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn sọ.
ní àfo ṣùgbọ́n kò ń ṣe inú àkọlé ló máa ti wá sáyé. ojú ìwé kejìdínlọ́gọ́ta. Examine the fruits and proceedings of Thursday, 10th October 2019, and approval is here granted. Any message from the governor?
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, there is no message from the governor.
Any other announcement?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to announce the presence of the following at the gallery to observe the House proceedings. We have 5 councillors of Ikoyi Obalende Local Development Council area, Ikoyi, Lagos, led by Councillor Abayomi Popola, leader of the House, Councillor Amao Nuruddin, deputy leaders. We also have Councillor Jibril Sulaiman, Councillor Abiodun Balogun, and Councillor Olabisi Akintewu. Sir, we have 8 members of the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind Vocational Training Center located at Firo Road, off Adigimoto Road, Kappa, Oshodi, Lagos, led by Mr. Olayinka O. Akonde and Major Retired Kehinde Damoli. 21 members of Accounting Students Representative Council, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Ogundipe Omotoyosi, Speaker, and Aziz Hafiz, Clerk. Sir, we also have 21 students of Gel Rock International School, located at Plot 8, Esterport Estate, Imowo Nla, Ikorodu, Lagos, led by Mrs. Michael Opeyemi and Mr. Oluwole Michael. We also have 50 students of Isolo Comprehensive Senior High School, located at number 1, Benusola Close, off Alebe Street, Isolo, Lagos, led by Mr. Oladapo T.A., Ms. Somi N.A., and Mr. Enosonde A. Sir, I also wish to announce that there will be a meeting of the 9-man ad hoc committee on 40th years anniversary of Lagos State House of Assembly immediately after the day sitting at the Deputy Speaker's office. Signed, Honorable Eshilokun Sonny Wasiu, Chairman, 9-man ad hoc committee. That's all, sir.
Petition,
None, Mr. Speaker, sir.
matter of urgent public importance, none. Personal explanation, none. Report, none. Before business of the day, let me recognize the presence of 5 councillors from the Yoruba Local Development Council area to Lagos, led by Abayomi Popola, leader of the House, Amoro Nuruddin, deputy leader, Jibril Sulaiman, Abiodun Balogun, Olabisi Akinpewo. You are all welcome. We thank you for coming. 8 members of Federal Nigerian Society for Blind Vocational Training Center located at Firo Road off Agigimuto Road, Kapa, Osogbo, Lagos, led by Mr. Olayinka Akonde, retired Major Kehinde Damole. We thank you for coming. You are all welcome. We also have 21 members of Accounting Students Representative Council, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Ogundipe Omotoyosi, Speaker, Assis Hafiz Clark. You are all welcome. 21 students of Joe Rock International School located at Plot 8, Estaport Estate, Imowola, Ikorodu, Lagos, led by Mrs. Michael Opeyemi, Mr. Oluwale Michael. We thank you for coming. 50 students of Isolo Comprehensive Senior High School located at number 1, Benusola Close off Alabe Street, Isolo, led by Mr. Ladapo 3A, Miss Sonny N.A., Mr. Enasali A. You are all welcome. We thank you for coming. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, the business of the day is House of Assembly motion number 4, the need to ensure the safety of the blind that usually implied in Lagos. The prime mover of this motion is Honorable Adele, the Speaker of the House, supported by my humble self, Honorable Togodara, Honorable Gudimu, Honorable Ishao, Honorable Lawale, Honorable Kasimu, Honorable Idibogu, Honorable Elliot, Honorable Ogukelu, Honorable Adewale, Honorable Sani, and Honorable Kudari. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I humbly invite Honorable Adele to present his motion before the honorable. Thank you.
Go ahead, Honorable Adele.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The need to ensure the safety of blind and visually impaired in Lagos State. This House notes that Section 23(2) of the Lagos State Special People's Law 2015 states that wheelchairs, crutches, guide canes for the blind, braces, and any other mobility aids and appliances or assistive device used by passengers living with disability shall not be subject to charges provided they are not carried in commercial quantities and for commercial purposes. Further note that there are over 4 million people in Nigeria living with visual impairment according to the World Health Organization, WHO, which necessitates the need to accord special privileges to this group of people. Observe that white cane is a symbol of mobility for the blind or visually impaired to enable them scan the environment for obstacles or marks, afford them the right of way when crossing the road alone, and help other road users to identify them. Further observes the low awareness amongst negotiants on the symbolic meaning of the white cane, which has led to the various road accidents and incidences causing further physical harm
at times death to the visually impaired, is aware that the law has no provision for ensuring the safety of white cane users on the road, nor any penalty for defaulters, and is concerned that the spate of harassment and accidents against the blind and visually impaired will continue to increase without the much needed advocacy and awareness on the use and symbolism of the white cane. We resolve, one, to call on His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Odushola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of the state, to restructure the Lagos State Office of Disability Affairs for more effective discharge of its duties and responsibilities, and also to direct the Ministry of Information and Strategy to embark on awareness campaign to educate Lagosians on the significance of white cane through state-owned media medium, and also resolve to amend the Lagos State Special People's Law 2015 in order to address the inadequacies therein and bring it to conformity with modern day realities. I so move.
Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the motion this morning.
All in favor say aye. All in favor say aye. Those against may ayes have it. Honorable
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, fellow members, for this great opportunity. As rightly stated in the motion, the body of the motion, the white cane is an instrument that is actually recognized world over as an aid to the visually impaired when walking alone on the street. In Nigeria, we have over 4 million people with this challenge. And then some people are either born, with this challenge of blindness, while some people actually get blind in the course of their life. And the major challenge to this is glaucoma, which is quite common within our system. We've had a case of a medical student who has just graduated from school before going blind. There's also the case of another young man who has just gained admission to the university and actually had this challenge. For 7 whole years, this young boy was kept inside the house by his parents for fear that he may either be hit or or be subjected to some other issues. Now there is the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind who has taken this challenge up, within themselves to have a residential base somewhere where people with such challenge are trained, to fit in to challenges of life. So much has been done by them. They have indeed gave support over time to these categories of people by training them on vocational subjects and on some other means by which they can be useful to themselves. I say to you, my colleagues, there are some of these people, after going through some of these trainings, that actually make things that amuses one. You will actually be doubting whether indeed these products are made by people with impairment. There is also the case of a professor, Professor Jiso, who is the first professor with visual impairment right from birth. As we speak, this professor is actually in Bayero University, lecturing in the special education unit. He has indeed served at one time as special advisor to the governor of Kano State. There is also the case of Koban Afikpo, who is a multiple award winner in music. He's also a trained lawyer. And I think this set of people again do not like to be pitied because they know that they actually feel useful to society, and it is very important that their rights are respected on the road. This is the reason why. But the challenge really is when they are seen on the road without the cane. One, people do not actually appreciate them. People cannot identify them, that they also have a right, and sometimes they are being harassed or being extorted when on the road. So for this reason, Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important for us to create the much needed awareness whenever they are seen anywhere. There are people that actually travel and have traveled all over the world using this white cane. It's special, and they're specially trained to use it. To this effect, Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important that this mission is supported with a view of accepting affairs. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Take your seat. Yeah, you have spoken about the white cane we use to aid the movement of those who are but from what you state here, your result, the cane, awareness to what respect.
Yes, that we create the awareness through the Ministry of Information to the fact that when such categories of people are seen on the road walking alone, one, that motorists should identify their rights and stop for them to use the road unhindered. And again, to also let people appreciate that the white cane is a universal tool for them, known all across the entire world. So the awareness is not enough. People do not respect their rights on the road, and the reason for this movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to commend the Prime Minister of the nation for this very thoughtful and populist idea that we have this morning. Mr. Speaker, I rise to say that the idea behind the motion is in consonance with the all-inclusive tenet of our party, the All Progressive Congress. Our party has a manifesto to involve and include every living Nigerian in the welfare package that we bring to Nigerians. The people who are visually impaired are brothers and sisters, and they also deserve a good life, no matter the circumstances. So the motion is quite apt and relevant in that respect. Also, the idea of a smart city that we are aiming for Lagos, a smart city is simply a city that works for all. So it should work for everybody, regardless of status, class, or creed. So if somebody is visually impaired, and we have a smart city, we should make the city work for them. So the city should be attuned to work for everybody. However, sir, Mr. Speaker, I find it very difficult to align with the third leg of the motion, because when we are asking His Excellency to do our work for us, to amend the laws for us, I find that a bit So I would have wished that probably we amend that to read that maybe the relevant committee of the House or maybe a special ad hoc committee directed by Mr. Speaker should look into the current law of 2015 with a view to bringing it to tune with modern challenges. I would have also suggested that maybe we ask His Excellency the Governor to direct the Minister of Education to include in the curriculum of our primary schools the awareness about this white cane and all that, so that we can breed this culture from the cradle. Those are my suggestions, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Jimo. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a good motion. I also want to support the group of the House of this motion. But I get worried when we rely solely on what health organization for our statistical data and issues like this. We have Federal Bureau of Statistics, even the so-called international community, IMF, World Bank, United Nations, they relied on our own Federal Bureau of Statistics for their own data. I think if we have internal mechanism, maybe to get our own data about our own people, I think it's fundamental for our development. We can't be relying on international organization and international bodies to develop our country. However that decides to be, my candidate figure is this, is that the campaign awareness, if we specify effort more, maybe through our general hospitals and our health centers, telling our people that the regular check, due for regular check of the heart, not until when it becomes issues that we spend more on it. The amendment of the law, well, I looked at the law, fundamentally, I think the law is still in order. What is really the problem is the implementation of the law. I feel sad as an individual whenever it is shown on TV or I witness it, when the son of Mr. IMPAIRED is being taken from the ground floor to any of the courtroom in the High Court of Lagos or the Federal High Court. I feel sad, sincerely, that despite that it is incorporated into the especially people with disabilities law, the High Court has not even implemented some of the laws we have in this house.
The building has been in existence before the law.
They can, Mr. Speaker, they can create a motorable for the wheelchairs of this so we don't need to limit it to those with high disability. We can take it holistically and then we put our own the law. Thank you.
Honorable Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This motion is no doubt apt and timely, and I want to indeed thank the prime mover for this wonderful motion. As a former chairman of Youth and Social Development Committee Ministry, I've had the opportunity to have an interface with some of these people living with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, in 1931, in France, the inventor of the white cane, Dolly de Urberman, launched a national white stick movement for the blind people, which symbolically gave the first two people the white cane to serve as their guide for the blind people in the presence of several French ministers. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, the same can be adopted in Lagos State by launching a white cane initiative, a form of empowerment, so to speak, for the blind across the state, which I believe will help with accountability, its acceptability, and general knowledge in the minds of our people. In America, sir, on the 6th of October, 1964, a joint resolution of the Congress was signed into law, authorizing the President of the United States to proclaim October 15 as White Cane Safety Day for the purposes of the visually impaired people. Coincidentally, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are discussing this issue today on the 14th of October, many years after. I would therefore implore the House to adopt same and issue a resolution, for example, that a day like this can be adopted for the blind. On another note, yesterday was World Braille's Day, in line with the Say No to Cancer initiative. It won't be a bad idea to curb the inadequacies that comes with people living with disabilities, particularly the blind. Special budgetary provision, for example, should be made for the purchase of more white canes. Yes, we have some provision in the budget usually yearly, but it's not sufficient enough for this group of people. On a final note, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want to say at this point that the blind people and people living with disabilities should not be left out. It shouldn't be limited to just blind people in terms of adequate provision for their safety and livelihood. The special law of 2015 should be looked into holistically with a view of making the necessary amendments in general to include the organizational structure and the functionality of the Office of Disability Affairs so as to help these people at large. Because in as much as we operate an inclusive government, we have to know that these people living with disabilities are needed as well to keep the government and the people of Lagos going forward. This is my submission, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I fully adopt this motion, I want to take a cue from what Honorable Timo has said. Mr. Speaker, it's heartbreaking that even as a state, we do not have the right data. And I think it's apt that we have a data not just for the visually impaired, but also for the physically challenged, so we can have proper management of these people. It is heartbreaking enough and quite difficult to have a day-to-day living with the impairment or disability. We also need to make sure that this white cane policy is, I have never, and that is the truth, seen on the road anybody walking with a white cane before. And I think having this
don't
white...
say those malam.
Their cane is black usually, sir.
Say what?
Or usually with a metal. Or brown.
You don't see them.
I haven't seen with the white cane, sir.
White, what do you mean by white cane? You don't see them with the...
Mr. Speaker, you see, a cane can mean different purpose. But once it's white, then you know that the person is visually impaired. If I see a malam holding a cane, it's koboko to flog somebody. So one has to be very careful in the interpretation. So the white cane, sir, is, I feel, a policy we need to take seriously. I just feel there should be a bit of an amendment to the resolve here, where in resolve 2, where it says His Excellency should be directed to direct the Ministry of Information and Strategy to embark on the awareness campaign to educate Lagosians on the significance of white cane through state-owned media mediums. I also feel we should extend it to privately owned media houses, which can also serve as CSR, so that it's a wide campaign. Now, I know we're talking mostly about those that are visually impaired, but we also have the deaf, and there should be different ways by which we can also identify these people. Our BRT buses, we have seats that are set aside solely for those that are physically impaired. I think we should also respect things like that. Charity, they say, begins at home. Our car park here, that has the physically challenged, we should also respect all those things so that we can, take Lagos to where we're supposed to be. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, the motion is good, and it's up. And why am I interested in the motion? Because gradually we are moving away from disregard for the impaired and physically challenged. We are moving away from where we isolate them or where we abuse them, gradually to a point of where we have pity for them. But thank God we are here to discuss on how to legalize their living and make their living worthy. You wonder, why are they moving around? is because most of them either not gainfully employed or they don't have means of livelihood. So what I feel we can do, in my own opinion, apart from the informing people or educating them on the use of the white cane, we need to let these people, we rehabilitate them economically, socially. Let us give them, those who are, that people will be jealous of them. So like, maybe they want to make themselves feel, you understand? So when we give them, those who are, who train, we'll give them funds to establish their business. So vocational training. So they will reduce the essence of moving around. We've seen a situation where physically challenged, when they want to enter buses in America, they lower the entrance of the vehicle. You understand? Make it easy for them to enter with their wheelchair. But in Nigeria, you have to rush. So can we create a situation where they have rights, easy rights, where we give them schools? We know there's partially in the solo or somewhere, you understand? Then we need to create more so that those people who are physically challenged, we go there. You understand? Training them on how to use technology. You understand? So that the era of Babi Allah will not be there again. So I agree that we should encourage the use of white cane in as much as practicable. But we need to go far beyond this so that at least essence of going through the commercial vehicles, crossing major roads, would be reduced to the barest minimum. That's my contribution, sir.
Honorable Shah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to congratulate our prime mover for this motion. It's about the safety of the visually impaired and the blind. The white cane is a symbol of impairment of vision, but it's also a tool of freedom. So when a blind person uses that cane, he or she probably does not need a guide. But they can only do that if those of us that can see them coming give them the right of way. So this motion is about that safety that we give them, that succor, that assurance that we give them, that when I see somebody with a white cane, I know this person is impaired, I must give the person the right of way, so that they can go about without holding somebody, without asking you, please help me around. That tool gives them that freedom. So that independence that a visually impaired person or a blind person draws from that cane is what we are talking about here today. That how do we protect them? And if we don't know about the white cane, that's why Honorable Kasimu mentioned it. In the US, tomorrow is a white cane day, to draw attention to that respect of the right and safety of a blind person with that cane. That is what we're talking about here. But also, government, we need to do a bit more as well in the construction of our roads, because when they are walking on the roads in those countries are studded. So when they step on the edge of a road, that they know they are near a zebra crossing, they know they are about to cross a road. So by and large, by bringing it to fore, by educating us that people with white cane, they have freedom from that cane, and we should respect their rights, so that more people that are visually impaired can use that cane. That is what we are talking about here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend the Prime Mover. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that there is no argument that the blind and the visually impaired persons are suffering from cradle to grave, and they are suffering from endless ordeals. And what are the ordeals that we are talking about? We'll be talking about discrimination. We'll be talking about stigmatization. We'll be talking about human rights abuse. We'll be talking about sexual abuse. We'll be talking about lack of access to education, lack of access to housing, and all that. And on January 23rd of January 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2019. And I want to say that according to the Nigerian National Blindness and Visually Impaired Survey
conducted in 2016. They said we have 1,130,000 persons within the range of 40 that are currently blind in Nigeria today. And we have 2.7 million people at the range of 40 years in Nigeria today that are visually impaired in Nigeria today. And we have 400,000 adults that are severely visually impaired in Nigeria today. Mr. Speaker, according to Section 17, subsection 2A, which says that every citizen shall have equality of rights, obligations, and opportunities before the law. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I want to say, and my submission will be that it is high time that we legislate a law that will promote these blind and visually impaired persons for us to protect them so that they will have a good living and a good society to live the way we are living. And there's a saying that the only language that the blind that they understand, the only language they understand is kindness. We must be kind, and we must be kind, or we must be kind to the blind and visually impaired person. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Jimmy Mohammed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members. I equally want to commend the prime mover of this motion. However, I'm trying to see how to correlate the motion itself and the prayers that has been requested. If you permit me to read, Mr. Speaker, the section 23.2 says that the wheelchairs, crutches, guide canes, braces and other mobilities, aids and appliances or assistive devices used by the passengers living with disability shall not be subject to charges. I would have thought that if this is the prayer, which is talking about maybe the importation or bringing in of the instruments, it should be part of the prayers that we have resolved to, whereby we'll call on the appropriate parastatal or ministry to advise that maybe such things that are being brought in are not subject to charge. So I think we need to add something to the resolves here, which relates to the motion itself. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Tumolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, and my colleague, I thank the prime mover of this motion. It is very apt, very important because we have a lot of visually impaired people among us. Irrespective of the source of information, the fact of the matter is that we have visually impaired people in our community, and we must make sure we take care of them. It is their inalienable right. It is inborn. You can't take it away from them. It is fundamental to them. However, Mr. Speaker, just like what Honorable Mohammed said, I can't find the correlation between the body of the prayer and the resolve. Number one resolve is to restructure the Lagos State Office of Disability Affairs and so forth. I don't think that is the problem. My take would have been that in addition to providing all these mobility aids to these visually impaired people, there is a need for us to make other road users, especially those that drive buses, to have mandated training on how to recognize and respect. Even the wide open people are being killed anyhow by all these alcoholic driven drivers, let alone the dead one, the visually impaired. There must be a mandatory training, and I expect the prayers to be that BIO should certify through the training people that can drive in Lagos that will take care, especially the commercial bus drivers, the Moluers and the downfalls of this world. Number one. And secondly, issues that borders on advocacy. I don't think it has to be limited to the state. We should endeavor to decentralize it in such a manner that even our local government have a buying where there must be advocacy at the local government level. Where there must be information dissemination at the local government level. Because if it is not holistic, when you limit it to the state, obviously, at the end of the day, people that are visually impaired, they work more on our local roads, not on the highway. And in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, there's need for infrastructure. So one of my colleagues was talking about when you go to a bus stop, we need to prioritize service to these visually impaired people, so that when our buses get to bus stop, they should
given priority before other people, even where they will sit. Even the vehicle we are talking about, they're supposed to customize it in such a manner that to enter the vehicles will be easy and coming out will be easy. And finally, sir, it is not limited to that alone. The Ministry of Works and Infrastructure must do something about them. The marking of the roads must respect. Many of our roads are not marked. There is no zebra crossing. So how will they be able to have lease of life when they are crossing the road and when they are not protected? So I want the prime mover to calculate all this together to make it holistic, so that when we are talking about visually impaired people, we should be talking about rights that is inalienable, and it behoves on the government at ensuring that we recognize, we respect them, and we give them all the necessary support that will give them better lease of life. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Miranda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, this is a very good motion, but I would also want to take it from a point of view that we should look at it holistically. And I think this should also start from us as in government. I believe no building construction in the states will happen without a government approval. I think our Ministry of Fiscal Planning also have a major role to play, in the sense that if we look at it holistically, we need to make provision for people living with disability. When we talk about our shopping malls, they need a dedicated parking slot. Likewise, elevator, even hospital, both private and government hospitals, elevators and what have you, to make life very easy for people living with disability. Recently, I was in a vehicle with someone outside the shores of this country, and the person we went into a mall. He actually wanted to help me get a charger. So he quickly parked, I was in the car, and he went inside the mall. And when he was coming out, I noticed the way he walked out of the mall, and he was limping towards the car. And when he got back inside the car, I asked him, ẹ̀gbọ́n kí ló ṣe yín tẹ̀ ń dé báyìí? And his response was that, láwọn ará bí oní ticket, wọ́n máa já mi ticket ní àyè disable mú taxi. So aláti sáré ṣe pápápá kémi náà dàpọ̀ mérò. That the fear is already in people. They just don't do anyhow. They don't park anywhere. So we need to also sensitize our people, so people living with disability can also have their own right of way. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Satanji.
Thank you very much, sir. Right, Mr. Speaker. I also want to appreciate the prime mover of this motion. It's a very good one. It shows how sensitive we are to the challenges of our society. The challenge we have really is that of lawlessness. In our society, people don't obey laws. The Okada, they drive to get traffic. 90% of Okada in Lagos, they don't, it's as if they are operating in their own world. So people like that, when a blind man is on the sidewalk, they don't even recognize them. So we have problem of lawlessness. And I also know that based on what Honorable Hasman was saying, because we need our people to be sensitized, and we also try to forget that maybe we should have disability day in this state, so that to let people know that we need to give special attention to these people, because they are disabled in the first place. The society does not give them their dues, and it's a serious concern for us. Now, on the issue of data, of course, we don't have data in this country. My colleague, Honorable Juma, was talking about, doing away with the Western world or United Nations. But do we have data there? Even the population of our state, of our local government, we don't have them. Most times we are given estimated figures. Lagos is 20 million. Somebody will say 24 million. Nobody knows the exact population of Lagos, not to talk of other cities. So we have this choice to rely on United Nations that have other better ways of getting their figures. So I want to really harp on the fact that we need the Ministry of Information to sensitize our people continually about the people who are disabled in our society.
Thank you very much.
Lastly, Honorable Sonny.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to align myself with this well thought out and well conceived motion. It resonates the fact that we are in tune with the challenges and the ills of our society and that we are poised to addressing them. Mr. Speaker, the use of white cane is a universal assistive device to aid mobility of the blind and or the visually impaired, to scan surroundings for obstacles or for orientation marks, and also help the onlookers to identify the blind or the visually impaired and to take care of them. Mr. Speaker, this LSHA chamber have a responsibility to drive a process to make life livable and to make life abundant for the visually impaired and the blind. In that wise, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I will strongly support the education, continuous awareness and publicity, and of course advocacy of all varieties of guides and techniques that will aid and assist the blind and visually impaired in living a worthy life, especially advocacy of the use of the white cane. We do not need to change the law. I've gone through the law that has to do with people with disability. It is rich enough. But by way of the resolution of this house, we can make an impact. Bringing about, the use of the white cane as a guide and other varieties of techniques like the guard dogs, trailing process, trailing system, and working with other persons. But I just want to say that we intensify advocacy through the Ministry of Information and do more of orientation and publicity so that people can be much more aware of the need to help the blind and the visually impaired. They are no less human beings, sir. In all standards, they are no less human beings. And for every discerning mind, we must not treat them as such. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I quite agree with all of you based on what you have said. I am only not comfortable with the result here from number 1 to number 3. Talking about awareness of white cane. I don't think that is enough. Not all of them are using white cane. Not all of them. Some might have some other, gadget that helps them. Some of them might have some instrument that help them to walk about freely. So if we want to generalize, we should just generalize that people should be of help generally to those who are in such situation. It's not about pity. It's not talking about pity, but doing what is right to make life convenient and comfortable for them. So the law is okay as far as I'm concerned. It's just a new law. But implementation aspect of it is what we should address. We look at it, and most of the old buildings that we have, especially the public buildings, we should encourage the government, to restructure in such manner that it will accommodate the set of people we are talking about. So I would like the Prime Mover to look at the prayers and adjust, what we have here. As rightly observed by Honorable Tunde Brahimo, it is our duty and responsibility to look at the laws and amend accordingly where necessary, or to introduce new things where it need be. So what I think on the awareness is to call on our people to be of help, to be supportive to any of these people, either on the road or anywhere, even in the bus, on the train. And somebody else said something. that government also should be called upon to start introducing, the special people's own amenities within our society. So, Honorable Abiy, I want you to look at this and take from what they have said to address this.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to offer some information here, sir, before I do my final. Firstly, sir, the white king has been identified universally, for internationally,
I agree with
as,
you.
that is the first thing, sir. Secondly, we have an existing law of special people with disability in Lagos State. Very few states have such laws. And the only thing, and that is what is most pathetic there, the only thing, the only section of the law that talks about people with visual impairment is this section that I've quoted here. That is all that it spoke about the people with impairment. Now, we think there is need for more input in that law. That is actually why we have called for the amendment of the law. And a lot of my colleagues here too have actually spoken, why the law needs to be amended. Now, away from the issue of safety that has been raised this morning, there are so many other things that can be imputed into the law. Now, as rightly put by Honorable Kasumi, tomorrow again is a day, that has been set aside world over as a white cane and safety day for the visually impaired. So I think it's actually timely that this is coming today. In view of all this,
Sorry, before you do that, I think if you only have a section that has to do with the blind people, that does not mean the law is not rich enough. The law is all about the disability, people living with disability. So everything you need is all about this. So it's just something, if you have said something that is lacking and you think it's of benefits to them, then you can come up with that idea. On white cane, somebody raised it down. You can also introduce a day for them as being done elsewhere. So you can include that. The white cane has to feature in your prayers, but the way it's being couched here is what I'm talking about. I just look at it and bring all these things they have said together.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
That one, the House resolved to amend the Lagos State Special People's Law.
We have not resolved that. We don't need to resolve to amend our law.
Okay,
So
sir.
you can drop that law, but we will do at any point in time. Any member can come up with amendments, so we don't have to resolve on that.
Okay, sir. In view of all that has been said, I wish to move that this House calls on the governor, Mr. Badi Sanwo-Olu, to direct the Ministry of Information and Strategy to embark on awareness campaign to educate the Goshians on the significance of the white cane, and also call on the local governments to also create such awareness at that level. The Ministry of Education to also include the education of the white cane in the curriculum of schools. That is the first leg. The other leg is also I wouldn't know whether the House actually agrees.
That education has to be done.
Okay,
I think we have Department in Ministry of Education and did something. So
okay, sir.
you can
So
drop that.
I take to that. I will drop that leg. And also to call on government to restructure the Office of Disability for better effective discharge of the duties and responsibilities. I so move it.
And Disability Day. I think somebody talked about Disability Day. That awareness will even go further and make it for publicity in radio or television. So maybe you should add that.
Well, October 15th has already.
There is already.
Yes,
Okay.
October 15th is actually a day globally celebrated as the White Cane and Safety Day. to address
I'm
it
calling
tomorrow.
on people generally to be helpful.
And for people there to be helpful
Okay.
to this class of people. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable Makinde.
Speaker, I rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clark, kindly communicate the result to His Excellency the Governor of Lagos State. Honorable Gino.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I will come to the conclusion on the items and the other papers of the due session. I have the mandate of the Right Honorable Speaker to adjourn the plenary session. So Tuesday, 15th day of October 2019, anytime. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
Yeah, before the question is put, these are the list of the chairman of House Committee. Selection Committee to be chaired by Right Honorable Speaker. Ethics and Protocol and Privileges to be chaired by Honorable Latif Abiy. House Services by Honorable Jani. Public Account State by Honorable Moshood Oshin. Public Account Local to be chaired by Honorable Fatai Moji. Agreed by Honorable Kehinde Joseph. Economic Planning and Budget by Honorable Ishao. Education, Honorable Yinka Ogundimu. Science and Technology, Honorable Afini. Environment, Honorable Desmond. Establishment, Training and Pension, Honorable Makinde. Energy and Mineral Resources, Honorable Folajimi Mohammed. Waterfront Infrastructure and Development, Honorable Layode. Physical Planning, Urban Development, Honorable Nuruddin Akinsoya. Transportation, Honorable Temitope Jam. Commerce and Industry, Honorable Sonny Okalahun. Women Affairs, Poverty Alleviation and Job Creation, Honorable Mirinda. Works and Infrastructure, Honorable Togo. Wealth Creation and Employment, Honorable Jude Idimogu. Finance, Honorable Rotimi Olowo. Health, Honorable Shokunle Hakim. Home Affairs, Honorable Setonji. Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Sakanuruddin. Youth and Social Development, Honorable Ajani Owolabi. Judiciary, Human Rights, Public Petition and LSHA, Honorable Akonde. Lands, Honorable Kasum. Housing, Honorable Bisi Yusuf. Information and Strategy, Honorable Tunde Brahma. Central Business District, Honorable Moji Macaulay. Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Honorable Rahim. Local Government Administration, Honorable Laiwola Sobro. Compliance, Legislative Compliance, Honorable Agel Sulaiman. Procurement, Honorable Olumo. Oversee and Investments, Honorable Ogun Kelu. Interparliamentary, Honorable Oluwa. While Honorable Naim chairs VPP. These are the list of our chairmen for House Committee. The question, those in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. This House stands adjourned to Tuesday, 15 October 2019 at 10 a.m. prompt. I rise.